Hello and welcome to another video. My name is Ben from Build a Body Online Rugby, helping rugby players get leaner, stronger and faster to reach the next level of their game. Super excited about this video. We're going to cover strength as the foundation of your rugby performance, and we're going to go into a lot of detail about strength training and how it's going to help you. Please don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to our channel if you like our content and it's been useful for you. Also, don't forget to check out the link in the descriptions and join our free Rugby S&C mini course where you can get your hands on loads and loads of resources and unlimited coaching from us. And again, it's all free. Go and check out that link. It is in the description. We look forward to seeing you. Without further ado, let's get cracking with today's presentation. So when we think about our rugby strength and conditioning training, we can look at these three really crucial elements of strength and conditioning training to try and boost our performance physically. Obviously, this is only a broad picture. There are lots and lots more elements that we need to consider. But in our program, we must be strength training, we must be working on our conditioning, and we must be getting faster and working on our speed. Today, we are going to focus solely on the strength element here. And strength is this: the maximum amount of force that you can produce as a player. And we're going to go into a lot of detail now on where producing force in the game of rugby is so important. So producing force, first and foremost, is really crucial to allow physical dominance over your opposition. And in rugby, being a collision sport, you're going to experience a lot of these elements in the game that you need to be able to dominate your opposition. For example, here, tackles, rucks, mauls, scrums, it is absolutely everywhere in the game of rugby. So if you can outforce your opponents, you're going to be in a better position to win the game. It's also really important to be strong, be able to produce force at fast rates. When we strength train, we can enhance this. This is our power. Power is possibly the greatest determinant of our performance on the rugby pitch, and it is so important that we work on it. So producing it at fast rates as well, super crucial. It transfers over to other elements of fitness as well. For example, our speed, conditioning, our mobility levels, our body composition as well, being leaner. All of these things and many more. Being forceful is so important for other elements of fitness. And finally, robustness. Okay, being able to tolerate the forces put on your body through the demands of rugby. You're going to have less injuries. You're going to feel more energetic, better overall health and well-being from being more strong. So super important for rugby in so many different situations. So if we go back to our training program and we think of our resistance training or strength training, we can split it again into these three simple categories. We have heavy strength training for maximum strength, and this is producing the maximum amount of force that we can. We go to moderate to heavy intensities for enhancing our muscle mass, and then also explosive training or power training, trying to produce force at faster rates. So we're going to go into a little bit of an overview now of all of these different elements of resistance training and strength training. Again, this is going to be fairly broad. There are lots of things that we will leave out of today, but we're going to focus on the structure and the key components of each. So let's start with maximal strength training and how to enhance the maximal amount of force that we can produce. Well, typically, we're looking at a rep range of about 1 to 6 reps at heavy intensities, okay? We are lifting heavy weights, trying to really push, and that is what is going to help us produce more and more force as we go. Looking at the compound lifts here, covering our key movement patterns that we will use in rugby, and that is things like squat, bench press, deadlifts, chin-ups, where we're working on our squat pattern, our push pattern, hinge pattern, pull pattern, and many more. Again, this is just a broad overview. And we can use various muscle actions in this, okay? Concentric, isometric, and eccentric muscle actions. Each of these is going to bring about a different outcome, but each of these is going to enhance your force producing capabilities. Next up, we have hypertrophy, or our muscle mass, okay? Trying to gain that lean muscle mass for our rugby. And there are typically 3 stimuli for this. There's lots of research backing it. Mechanical tension. This is lifting heavy weights, just like we talked about there. Maximal strength. Then we have muscle damage. This is our more typical bodybuilding style of training, where we're looking at about 8 to 12 reps, slow, building tension through the muscle, causing micro damage in the fiber, which when we then recover, we adapt and grow our muscle. And metabolic stress. This is slightly more on the endurance side, where we're going to slightly higher reps, pushing for fatigue in a metabolic way. And for hypertrophy, typically in rugby, we can look at this kind of structure for our training. roughly 8 to 15 reps. We can go higher than this again if we're looking for more metabolic stress. For moderate to heavy intensity. Compound lifts, again, covering the key movements. The squat, bench, deadlift, chin up. Again, if these are really, really heavy, just like our maximal strength, we'll be working on mechanical tension, and that will increase our muscle size. And then we have all of our assistance work. And these can be our unilateral movements. There's a list there of some examples. Isolation exercises, which you may want to do on an individual basis as well. Using machines, different types of gear and equipment that you may have available to you as well. And again, we're going to use various muscle actions. Each one will cause an element of growth. However, I've underlined eccentric here because these are the most proven, and they will give you the biggest outcomes for increasing the size of your muscle fibers. So that is a really big one to consider as well for your hypertrophy training. And the final element here we're going to look at is our explosive power. And again, this is a great determinant of your performance on the rugby pitch. It's so important that we acknowledge this and we are training this properly. We're not going to go into huge amounts of detail here on power training because I'm going to do a whole other video which is going to go into more detail for it. But when we think about our explosive power, again, we're thinking about producing force at fast rates. And a simple way to envision your power training is using the force velocity curve. Again, I'm going to go into more detail in a different training, so we'll give you the link to that video and you can watch that, okay? But typically with our explosive power, if we're looking at a broad overview, we're looking at a lower range of reps, and we're going to be doing this at various intensities depending on the outcome that we're looking for. We're going to have a mixture of going for high force and high amounts of velocity. So we'll have different types of weights, different types of resistance, different types of intensity to do that. Again, the compound lifts, the squat, the bench, the deadlift, lifting nice and heavy, that is going to help you be more explosive and more powerful. But then we're going to bring in different things. For example, the Olympic lifts and variations. We might bring in some ballistic training where we're doing some jumps, also sprints, throws, our plyometric training. And again, various muscle actions, each of these, concentric, isometric and eccentric, they will contribute to you being a more explosive player. Again, we're going to go into more detail, so don't worry too much. Check out that other video on explosive power training. So this is an absolutely fundamental element of strength training that is commonly completely missed out from a lot of rugby players' planning and their programming. And it's just simple periodization. You must periodize your strength training to allow the body to adapt and get better in the step-by-step format that it needs. Okay, if we don't do this, we just go up and fall off a cliff, we get overly fatigued, we can get overtrained, or we just don't adapt because there is no change in the stimulus you're giving your body. So when you're periodizing your training, you need to consider the stage of the season. Typically, we're going to be doing the more fatiguing, higher volume, harder work in the off-season phases. And this is where we'll be doing a lot more hypertrophy training, for an example. We'll be using eccentric methods a lot more in the off-season, pre-season stage of the season. We'll be doing a lot more maximum, really heavy strength for more sets in the pre-season, in the off-season. Okay, as we move into the season, we're going to be getting more explosive. We need to peak for competition. We need to reduce our fatigue. So we'll still have elements of our maximum strength and hypertrophy. We will also have lots of elements of our explosiveness and our power training as well. We've got to progressively overload, and we do this in a step-by-step format. Okay, so we're making sure that we are overloading our training, we're increasing our intensity as we go, but we're also having deload weeks so that we can recover and that we can adapt. That is how we progressively periodize our strength. And we have to have variations of the sessions and the content in them. By content, I mean the exercises that are in them, okay? The rest periods, the kind of things you're literally going to be doing in your strength session. So you must vary this. Otherwise, again, the body gets used to it and it starts to stagnate or even go down. So a really important thing is to periodize your strength training. But this is the key, and I'll always leave you with this. Rugby is the most important thing that you prioritize. You've got to train and you've got to play rugby, because there is no more specific way to improve your force producing capabilities than doing it in rugby scenarios. For example, here you can see in this picture, if you're a front row, there is no better way to get much stronger at scrummaging than live scrummaging against other people and other front rowers. Okay, make sure that you prioritize your rugby training and playing and competing. So thanks a lot for tuning into this video. Just a quick recap of what we've gone over. Strength is an absolutely foundational fitness quality, and all rugby players need to have it. Okay? Strength is all about producing force, and we need to train these for rugby performance, maximum strength, hypertrophy, and explosiveness as well, and power training. Okay? It needs to be periodized properly, otherwise it isn't going to be effective. And the most specific, the best thing you can do for your rugby strength is to train and play rugby. Again, I appreciate your time. Thank you for watching. I hope you got some value. Make sure you check out the link in the description and join our free mini course and get stuck into all of the resources, all of the coaching that we have in there. It will help you with your rugby strength and conditioning. Thanks a lot. We'll see you on the next video. Cheers.